Welcome back to 4 in Tune. I am Derek, and this time I did the air filter and a power steering fluid flush. So stick around. So I wanted to see just what kind of condition the air filter was in today because I have forgot to even look at it. It is looks like a K&N. They had the sticker on the top anyway. And then this thing, look at that scuzz already. This thing weighs 4 or 5 pounds. Good Lord. This does not bode well for what else I may find underneath this sucker. So the box itself looks nice, nothing bad in there. I'm gonna do this on a budget. I'm gonna put some heavy duty degreaser cleaner, Goo Gone, through this thing and see if that gets me anywhere. So let's see. I'm gonna do a little change of plans. I'm gonna use some soft soap or spa soap. See if that does anything for me first. We'll fill this thing up about 3/4 and then immerse that thing. I've never seen one that bad. That's insane. I mean, seriously. I flew helicopters in the Middle East and our K&N filters were in better condition than this. This is just ridiculous. Gosh. We'll see how much of that comes out. I mean, I don't know if you can actually see how gross and embedded this shit is. I mean, look at that. Every vein is like that. In fact, I'm gonna bang this stuff out first. Right, let's see what this looks like. Good Lord. What a shame, because these things are like 60, 80 bucks. Wow. This is nuts. Wow. These cleats are just destroyed. There may not be any saving this one. The amount of effort it takes to suck air through this. Wow. So, already a lot better, but wow. That is a significant pile. All right. Now we'll see what a bath will do it. Oh, God. Look at that water. It's already black. Took 3 seconds. Okay, so we're on our 3rd iteration of cleaning. Yeah, we're getting there. The second bucket full of water was equally dirty. This is fresh, brand new. Once again, I'm gonna spray this sucker down with, I mean, it's still dripping. Ugh. black ooze. All right. And again, this is just regular hand soap in here. Let's see if any of this is worthwhile. She's definitely looking better now. Very light degreaser. I might do this one more time. This actually white. This might actually be white. These pleats. Still swamp water, but we're getting there. Okay, this is probably number 6, and that water is still black, but it's half as black as it used to be, which is a positive. Okay, iterations now. It's once again been soaked with some Goo Gone while the bucket was filling up. This is number 8, so there's not much I can physically get to anymore. We're gonna see what this last one, because I'm not doing it anymore. We're gonna see what this last one leaves me in the bucket. I'm not using hot water, by the way. I think hand soap is gonna be the way to go. That way. All right, well, I think that's as good as I'm going to get it for right now. That is looking a hell of a lot better than it ever had before. So, apparently, this seems to be working. Yeah. All right, so we'll let this dry. I mean, now you can see daylight through there at least. Before you never could, before, you know. So, we have pleats still intact, and we've got most of the grime and grease off of it. Once this thing dries, we'll see how heavy it actually is compared to what it used to weigh. So stick around. So I always overdo it, and I'm sure I probably overdid it again, but I can never tell when to actually stop. I don't know, it doesn't look so bad. At least there's not huge rings on the cardboard right now. So I'll throw that back in the truck. I was told to drop my tire pressures down to, I think, 80 in the front and then 50 or 55 in the rear. And I'll go do that real fast as well. So this part of the video, I'm going to get into doing a fluid swap and adding some power steering stop leak from Lucas. I've always wondered if this stuff actually did anything or if it was just a snake oil, but well, stick around to the end and I'll give you my findings then. So I'm going to start off easy, and I'm just going to suck out what I can. Turkey baste it, whatever you got to do. Anyway, I want to see how much is going to come out of this thing. Don't know if you can see, but that's all that came out. Not a lot in the tank. We'll see what we can get out down by the gearbox. And while we're underneath the vehicle now, we'll look up. There's the gearbox. But the power steering pump a little further up. And as you can tell, I think the oil pan's leaking, but the guy I bought it from claims that this was just from a recent oil change that he had done. So I don't know. I got to power wash it and see what happens. However, let's see if I can get an eye on what to do up there. So that banjo bolt, I'm not going to mess with that here today, because that is one of the hoses that I need to replace on this. From what I've read online, they fail pretty frequently, causing whining noises and other strange things. But that is the only hose I can see to there. Then you got the one with a horseshoe arch in it right there going to the top of the pump. That's the other one I got to replace. So it looks like the only way to get the rest of this fluid out is going to be with that banjo bolt. Well, crap. Okay. Plan B, which I like better already. I'm going to take that off because the clamp is right there, and I'm going to just run the hose down inside that hose and see what else I can pull out that direction, how much more I can get. All right, off to plan B. And at the same time, I can take this off and just clean it all out. All I've done so far, I got that off. There's another clamp on the bottom here that's not very difficult to get off, but took it all apart, cleaned it out with some brake cleaner on the inside. There's like a particulate filter in there, so you can see kind of the mesh that's in there. So sprayed a lot of brake cleaner in there, wiped everything down, cleaned it up a lot. Anyway, so that's going to be ready to go back. That's how much I got out of the first hose. And there's the second hose right there. And that one runs all the way down to the pump as well. So I'm going to suck that one out and get even more. Be right back. So all in all, I got out more out of those two lines than I did out of the holding tank itself. So I think that was well worth the effort. There's no dedicated steering rack in these, so it's just a power steering box. So I would say good enough for now. And I'm going to put some fresh Lucas power steering fluid in there and add one of those mechanic in a cans in there and see if that changes anything. If it does, then I'll flush it out probably once, maybe 2 more times. But if there's no noticeable or appreciable difference, then it's just going to have to be the 2 hoses, which right there is one of them, maybe both of them, I don't know. But we'll see how that plays. So wish me luck. Okay, so not overly complicated. So really easy, 13 millimeter. Take that clamp off, pull the hose off. Be careful not to break anything. There's the exact same style clamp as this one is on the very bottom of this bottle. Once you get it off and maneuverable, you can get to it. I just used actually a backup pair. My regular pliers, the handles were too thick because there's not a lot of room to maneuver your hand in there, so I had to use that. A little thinner, but it still opened up the same as my thicker ones did. There is a sleeve over top of this, so I'll reinstall that, and then I'm just going to add and start bleeding the system. I am going to lift the front end up on the jacks so I can spin it left and right pretty easily. I do have a lift, but there's probably no way this is going to lift this truck. Plus my Mercedes is still in there, and I just don't want to deal with any of that. So here we go. We'll see if this solves anything on my drive. I'll keep you posted. Well, got some bubbles. They're starting to break up. It really turned cherry really fast, so sucked out another probably 3/4 of a tank worth, and then topped it off again with some more Lucas, and that's the stuff I'm using, by the way. You know, some people will say it's sacrilege not to use the Mopar stuff, but it's Mopar ATF +4 or Mopar power steering fluid. It's been around long enough. I think they figured it out. This would be good enough to figure out what's going on. But it's still pretty cherry. So I think I'm going to suck it out again and put some more clear in. Because this stuff is it's clear. Power steering flush that I did, my mechanic in a can experiment that I was working on. It's been probably 5 or 6 days. Put maybe 200 miles, 300 miles on the vehicle since I did the mechanic in a can, that Lucas power steering fluid solution. And I got to tell you, it's working better. It's not 100% fixed, but it definitely bought me some time to familiarize myself with the rest of the truck. I did get a power steering pump. It is in the garage waiting for me to get to it, but this has at least bought me some time. Sorry about the airplane noise at an airport. So I'll show you what it was doing in the truck here. So as I climb in here, what it was doing initially, if you can see the wheel, as I would go down the road, anytime I would try to move, it was just kind of pulsing in my hand. And when you get into a corner, it would overcompensate the power and under, over and under. So it was kind of, you had to pay attention a lot to the steering. Well, it's probably 70% better, 80% better maybe. And the whining that it came with has subsided significantly. If you don't listen for it, you really can't tell it's there anymore. So anyway, I'll say that it kind of worked, even though there's no power steering gear, assembly, you know, from wheel to wheel. It does have that gearbox, and that little bit of fluid that I got in there from that Lucas power steering restorer seemed to really help it out. So anyway, that's a quick closure video on the power steering issue I had. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for watching. I am Derek. This is 4 in Tune.